The Hill of No Return. When warriors chose death over surrender. There's a place where men go not to win, but to never be forgotten. The Hill of No Return, where surrender was a curse and death was a choice. This is the last charge of the brave. The morning mist clung to their boots as Commander Kale raised his sword toward the blood-red summit. Around him stood only 80 warriors, scarred, hardened, and unflinching. Their enemy numbered in the thousands. Kale didn't speak of survival. He spoke of legacy. We are the fire they'll remember, the roar that echoes forever. They began their ascent, not as soldiers, but as legends in the making. Above them, enemy banners flapped like vultures. Arrows waited. Cannons slept with open mouths. But no one turned back, because on this hill, you fight to die standing or live on in shame. And so, the final march began. One hill, one charge, no return. Asterisk. The first volley came like thunder from the gods, arrows shrieking through the sky, a black storm meant to break their will. But the warriors of Kale didn't flinch. Shields rose, shoulders locked. Metal clashed, screams echoed, and still they climbed, blood soaked into the mud as the wounded fell behind. Yet no one turned to look. No one cried out. Their eyes stayed fixed on the summit, where death waited like a throne. Atop the ridge, enemy generals laughed. Their lambs, one sneered. They'll scatter. But lambs don't charge uphill through fire. Lambs don't chant the names of their dead. Kale's war cry split the chaos. Let the sky burn, we keep going. And so they did, step by brutal step. What the enemy saw as suicide was really sacrifice. The warriors weren't trying to win. They were trying to be remembered. The slope steepened. The rocks turned slick with blood. Every inch gained cost another brother. Another scream lost to the wind. Still, Kale's formation held. Axes flashed. Spears cracked skulls. Men fought with broken arms, missing fingers, shattered ribs. They didn't count the fallen. There was no time. Only the summit mattered. The enemy responded with brutality, rolling burning oil down the cliffs, hurling spikes, unleashing the beast hounds. Kale struck one mid-leap, slicing it clean as he stepped over his own lieutenant's corpse. And still they climbed. His second-in-command, Doran, turned with blood down his face. We're down to 30. Kale nodded. Then we hit like thunder. Every foot forward now was earned in screams. And the hill remembered every drop. For this was not war. This was defiance carved in flesh. They reached the ridgeline, exhausted, soaked in blood, but alive. What greeted them was no relief. It was hell. Rows of enemy gunners, shoulder to shoulder. Artillery primed. The first cannon fired. Dirt exploded. Men vanished in fire. And yet Kale raised his sword again. Break them before they reload. The charge that followed wasn't human. It was fury. Kale's blade tore through armor like silk. His warriors moved like fire unleashed. Every strike was a vow. We do not fall. We do not kneel. One warrior tackled a gunner into his own cannon mouth. Another head butted an officer, shattering both their skulls. Bodies fell. Smoke thickened. By the time the next cannon fired, Kale's warriors were already among them. Blades clashed in a nightmare of rage and courage. The hill had turned red, but still they climbed. The enemy lines buckled. They weren't prepared for madness this pure. This final act of men who had nothing to lose. Kale saw the ridge's highest point, where the enemy banner stood tall, defiant. That banner meant domination, surrender. He would tear it down or die with it in his fists. As he charged, enemies swarmed. Blades slashed his arms. A spear grazed his ribs. But Kale kept moving, carried by sheer fury and the cries of the dead behind him. His fingers found the banner pole. He roared. It snapped in half as arrows buried in his back. But he didn't fall. Not yet. Behind him, Doran climbed over the final mound, bloodied and limping, carrying the flag of their own house. He planted it in the soil beside Kale. The Hill of No Return now had a new name. The Hill of the Brave. They didn't expect to survive, and by sunset, most wouldn't. Kale stood with only 12 warriors now, backs to each other, surrounded. They had no arrows left, only blades, cracked shields, and a fire that wouldn't die. The enemy surged in waves. Every charge was met with steel and screams. Doran fell to a sword in the spine, but not before taking 2 men with him. Kale, bleeding from 10 wounds, laughed through his teeth. If this is death, let it be loud. They roared again, a sound more terrifying than war horns. The enemy hesitated, because legends don't die quietly. And on this cursed hill, the last of Kale's warriors fought not for victory, but to be carved into the bones of time. One last circle of defiance, one last heartbeat of war. When the dust settled, the hill was silent. Broken swords, burned corpses, blood in the soil. The enemy won the ground, but lost their souls. They said the hill was haunted after that cries echo from the rocks when the wind howls. Kale's body was never found. Some say he stood till the very end. Others that he still does. But one thing remains, the banner. Tattered, still standing. A reminder that courage doesn't always win battles, but it does win eternity. This was never about conquering. It was about choosing fire over silence, death over shame, and legacy over life. This was the hill of no return, where warriors chose to die on their feet and earned immortality. Asterisk. Like, comment, and subscribe to Timeless Legend for more epic battles etched into the soul of history.